Yo guys, welcome back to another Impact Newsroom. As always, I am your host, Stu, and joined by my colleague, Serk. Say what's up to the people, Serk.
What's up, everybody?
How you guys doing? So today we have a great lineup of topics. We have 5 gaming topics and 1 IRL topic that you may want to stick around for, you know what I'm saying? But let's get right into the gaming topics as we always do. Twitch is introducing Halloween loot boxes. This is interesting because Twitch is not a video game. It's a streaming service. It's a website. But they're now offering loot crates up until November 3rd. These loot crates contain emotes that you can get by donating 250 bits or cheers to streamers that have that shit enabled on their channel. So if you want to go and get some Twitch emotes, you can. But there's also another catch. If you get all 6 of the Twitch Halloween emotes, you unlock a special 7th Halloween emote. But you can get duplicates, so you might spend a lot of cheers trying to get them if you want to go for them. What do you think, Sir? Are you going to buy any of these?
Probably not. Like, I think it's a cool idea. Just I don't see wasting any bits or money just to get emotes to post in somebody's chat that you're only really gonna get to use one time of the year. Like,
Well,
I could see.
I mean, you could use them year round.
You could. I don't know. I don't personally see myself being the type to use them year round.
Could you see maybe at some point these getting like some collector's value to them, and people
probably
selling their Twitch accounts because they have these emotes attached?
I could definitely see something like that, especially with the way things have been going with specific games like PUBG and H1 with the selling of different skins for outfits and guns and stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if at some point you could sell your Twitch account for money just because of emotes that you got from a crate.
I feel that. I think it's definitely a possibility. And right here on the screen, you guys can see the emotes that you can get. They said there was a secret 7th one, but there's 7 emotes right here. So I guess the secret is out. That one of these is the 7th one that you'll get.
The 7th one.
We got an evil Kappa right there. That's the only one I really recognize. But yeah, so you can go and check those out. And once again, you get these chests that you can open by donating 250 cheers to your favorite streamers. On to our next topic. PlayStation 4 is set to receive officially licensed mini wired controllers for kids. And you can see it right here. It looks a lot different than the normal PS4 controller. It kind of reminds me of like a Nintendo controller to an extent.
Which Super NES.
Yeah, something along those lines. I would assume it's, you know, because little kids like to break controllers, but you can see the price for it right here. $30 US, $40 Canadian, because US money is worth more, you poor Canadians. But yeah, so how do you feel about these controllers, sir? You think it's going to be a good addition?
Honestly, yeah, they're gonna sell like crazy. I would definitely purchase one myself, only because I have a few nephews and a few friends that have kids that play my systems, and the controllers can get damaged very easily. So it'd be good to have a separate controller.
I don't know if you noticed this. I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you noticed this. Look, it has a mini touchpad on it.
It does.
Do you see it? It's like a little itty bitty touchpad for like little fingers.
That's awesome.
I guess because like some games you have to use the touchpad for, right?
Yeah.
Bro, okay. Could you see? Could you see any professional gamers switching over to these instead?
Depending on the game, probably.
That's going to be an interesting thing to see. It's a lot smaller. It's more compact.
Exactly.
Your fingers are closer to everything. You know?
Like most fighting games, like the fighting game community is on like Nintendo systems. I don't think there's really any PlayStation 4.
You know, for like racing games, and stuff
Or,
like that.
Yeah, racing games definitely.
I could see this being, better because it's light. It's probably going to be super lightweight. It's really compact. We're going to have to see if this switches up the meta for competitive play in video games like Call of Duty or Battlefield. And you can see.
I was literally just thinking that, like, I need to get one just to test it out in World War
Just
II
to see.
It comes out.
Dude,
I need to, like.
What if it's like insane? What if it's crazy good? Oh man!
If I could play Claw on that, that's game changer.
What if
there.
What if they come out with mini wire gameplay or gamepad scuffs? Like they're making
or
scuffs for little
like,
kids.
Even just like an attachable that they have.
Like the claw attachment that they have.
Yeah, like the mod pack that I have on the back of my controller right here.
Yeah.
It just attaches on through the charging port and gives you 2 paddles that you can use.
Somebody will do it. Somebody might figure it out. We'll have to see. It's definitely interesting. In other news, 2K is hiring a first-person shooters team. 2K, the sports company, is now transitioning to shooting games. Oh, wait. 2K did BioShock and Borderlands?
Yeah.
What?
2K's been in a lot. Like they've been dipped their hands and their money into a lot of different games. And not a lot of people recognize them for it because every time you see 2K, the first thing you think of is
NBA,
NHL or NBA or NFL. From all the 2K.
NFL.
The
what
2K
games you playing, dog?
Yeah, there was 2K NFL. I'm pretty sure, wasn't there?
No
or
way.
NHL,
No, they had
right?
baseball. They had baseball at one point, but
baseball. Okay, yeah.
it kind of fell
baseball,
off.
Hockey, and
Baseball, hockey, and basketball. I think for the most part. I didn't know that they were a part of BioShock and Borderlands. That's actually incredibly shocking to me. But it's gonna be interesting to see. 2K definitely has good graphics. I mean, their engines are good. I just don't know how it's gonna work out in comparatively to like other AAA titles that are coming out, like Call of Duty and Battlefield. Is Battlefield's not coming out with a new game this year, are they? They're trying to get Battlefield 1 to go one more year, I think.
Yeah, I think they're going another year with Battlefield 1, and then they're gonna come out with something new. Which honestly, I think they should have. Like they're probably working on something new right now because obviously it does take a few years to fully create and develop a video game. But
right,
I think they need to do something new because once World War II comes out, I don't think it's gonna compete with. Or I don't think Battlefield 1, is going to compete with World War II whatsoever because there's going to be a lot more a lot of new game modes in World War II.
And
as we've
Battlefield
seen
1
from
is
the
super
beta,
old
war.
at this point. It's like 2 years old.
Yeah, and
it's
an old game, exactly. Like it is still fun. Don't get me wrong, but when you have a new game like World War II coming out that has a diverse story that's based off of true events, which I don't know, I'm not too sure if the Battlefield 1 storyline is
a little bit, yeah,
not. A little bit, but. And then the actors, you know what I mean? Like the money that they put into these games, like for the World War II game specifically, it'll blow games like Battlefield 1 right out of the water.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. So it'll be interesting to see how 2K kind of fits into this, and maybe 2K.
I think they're trying to go a competitive route.
You think so?
Opinion. Yeah, I think like the reason why they're trying to go first-person shooter is to go a more competitive route. Because if you think about it, when have we ever seen like a big major tournament for
NBA,
a hockey game or NBA game NBA is starting to get a lot bigger now. It hasn't been as big the last like 2 years, but like they don't make as much revenue off of it as they should. So
well, right. 2K is definitely, but I mean, those games are a lot more boring to watch. I feel like. Because it just makes you 2K is one of those games where when you see it played, you just think like, man, I wish I could be playing this. I could be doing so much better right now.
Yeah, or it's like instead of watching a group of kids playing it, it's like I could go to an actual NBA game and watch these players play.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
somebody else play the video game.
Like in my mind, it's like I watch CS:GO pros and I'm like, well, shit, there's no way I could ever do that. Let me just watch these guys. But then, if I'm watching somebody play 2K, it's like, man, like I could do this. Like they're not that good. Like let me go hop online real quick and play a couple games. So
It's like
I don't know, but definitely 2K has a good track record of making solid video games. So it's going to be interesting to see what a new AAA team could come up with. Maybe they'd get into the Battle Royale genre. We'll see.
Who knows?
On to our next topic. Overwatch League is likely to fail to meet expectations. And I haven't kept up with Overwatch since like the first month that it was out, but I could definitely understand how the league is failing. I've heard so many complaints about Overwatch just competitive not being very solid overall at all, which is crazy to me because Overwatch was such a fun game when it came out. I don't understand how the league could be failing.
I think the reason why the league is the league will fail or is failing is because when you're looking at all these other games that carry more of a community, more players on it, like Call of Duty and H1Z1 that have just announced that they're going to be doing professional leagues, more people are going to be focused on those because they're a lot bigger in the community in a sense than Overwatch. You know, Overwatch is still kind of new. It's still kind of one of those games it's iffy in the competitive sense, in my opinion. Like, I don't feel like it will go much farther than it already is. It's a great game, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's just one of those games that you pick up and play with friends when you're bored or done with Call of Duty. Something competitive.
That's a great point. Like, when I play Overwatch, I'm playing it just to, kind of chill. I'm not playing it because I'm trying to be, the best in the world.
10,000 hours with certain character, like.
Right. Crazy. I'm not focused on maining or anything. I'm just focused on having fun, chilling, essentially. But there is a quote from one of the workers at Activision, and they basically made an excuse that this is the first time a publisher has ever attempted to launch a major esport from scratch. But I mean, at that point, like, every esport comes from scratch. Call of Duty came from scratch, and people loved it so much they turned it into an esport. H1Z1 started from scratch, then it turned into an esport. Battlefield, I still don't think is an esport because nobody wants to turn it into one. But I mean, all these esports come from scratch, and it's just like you're not doing something right if you have a game that's this popular with this much potential, and you're not making it, you're not making a profit from this.
And like another thing that I think another thing that deals with it too is H1Z1 is the perfect example. Look at how long, like when they decided to do a competitive and a pro league, look at how long it took for that community to grow. Like the H1 community is huge, okay? And it only took within maybe like a year, half of a year. Overwatch has been out for almost over 2 years now.
Well, H1Z1's been out for 3 years.
Yeah, it's been out for a lot longer, but until they actually decided to do,
like, make it competitive,
make it competitive, and start doing the invitationals. It was only like about a year ago, I think.
Well, they did the invitationals in 2015, but it wasn't really followed much, and it wasn't full of a lot of, big name players.
But that's exactly what I'm getting at, though. And then you look at Overwatch, to how big Overwatch should be compared to what it is right now.
Right, like Overwatch is way bigger than H1Z1 will ever be. But they've literally just kind of shit the bed with it, essentially.
Yep. That's why it's gonna fail.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe they'll pull it out, but I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough at this point. Maybe we'll see an Overwatch 2, and they'll fix it, make it better. But right now, Overwatch is in a hole, and they're gonna have to dig themselves out. On to our next topic. This one is more Halloween-based, so some of you scary video game lovers are gonna enjoy this one. This is a list of the 10 scariest games on PS4 and Xbox One. We're just gonna go down the list and talk about a few of them. Alien Isolation is on there. Haven't heard a lot about that. Dying Light, I know that one's really popular. Do you know anything about Dying Light, Serk?
Yeah, that's a really fun game. I thoroughly enjoy that one. The PvP is really fun.
Is it scary?
Yeah, it's pretty freaky because like it's the whole PvP is like based in night, and you have a team of humans and then a team of zombies, and you have to, if you're the zombies, you have to hunt the humans down, and you can't see shit.
That actually
like
does
literally,
sound fun.
it's based on straight sound. Like you can't see shit. It's
That actually
so
sounds really
freaky.
fun. But if you're on the zombie
It
team,
is.
you can see, right?
Oh yeah, you can, because you can sense the humans
Gotcha.
and like smell them.
So it's kind of like, oh, what was that game back on the Source engine? The Hidden. It's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Pretty much the same mechanics.
And then we have Layers of Fear. I've seen Layers of Fear, and it it looks pretty scary. It looks trippy as hell too. I can't remember who I saw play it. I think PewDiePie played it, and that one was really popular, obviously, because it's PewDiePie. And I don't think it was actually finished yet. Whenever he played it, but it looks really fun actually, and kind of confusing. It definitely has a lot of layers to it. No pun intended. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend Layers of Fear if you guys are looking for a scary game to go on with for Halloween. Observer, I don't know anything about that one, but it looks like a lot of TV heads. Outlast 2. Outlast 1 was a game that I played, and I got freaked out to the point where I just couldn't even play it anymore, dog.
Yo, Outlast 2 is even worse, yo.
It's scarier?
Yeah, like, I don't get scared easy, man. And, like, when I play games like this, like, I have to obviously play it in the dark. And there's a few times where I've, like, jumped out of my chair and thrown my controller, just, like, where I'm like, fuck, like, God damn it. Shit just jumping out at me, scaring the shit out of me. Like, it's so fun.
I remember there was one part on Outlast 1 that I couldn't get through, and it was when I'd, like, just been taken into the basement by, like, the big zombie or whatever.
Oh, yeah. It's, like, halfway through the game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I had to, like, sneak up through the stairs, and, like, it kept putting me back in a saved place that was just, like, impossible to get through. And there was no way for me to, like, revert to the last saved spot. So it was just, like, there was no reason for me to even play it anymore.
You were screwed.
Yeah, dude, I was, like, completely screwed. I was literally stuck in a room downstairs in the basement with one exit, and the big dude was standing right at the exit. There was no way for me to get out. Anyway, Outlast 2, I actually did see a little bit of the gameplay from that. It looks scary. It looks fun. But it also looks super rage-inducing for those parts that you can't get through. PT, this game is actually not available to get unless you use third-party software, because it was taken down by the developer after. This was like a demo game for like his main game, and like his main game,
this
like
was just a playable trailer for the new Silent Hill game that was coming out.
Yeah. But he canceled the Silent Hill game.
It was amazing.
You played PT?
Yeah, I played it on VR. Like, I played it originally, like, once on PlayStation when the PT came out, and then I played it on VR at my buddy's, and oh my god, like, I wish the game actually came out. Like, I was so excited for it. I had money saved aside to buy pre-order the game when it was coming out, and then they just canceled the whole production, and my heart sank into my stomach. Like, it was the worst thing ever, because this was going to be Silent Hill, like, this Silent Hill game was going to be the best horror game to date. Nothing could have topped it. Like, this PT probably beats a good, like, 80% of the games from the last 10 years that have come out, horror games. To be,
why did they
like,
cancel
specific.
it?
I'm not too sure what happened. And, like, one thing that I was excited for too was Norman Reedus, if you know who that is, the guy that plays Daryl from The Walking Dead. He was in the game.
Oh, really?
He was he was the character that you play. So, like, the character who you are, you're like who you're playing as in the PT, that's Daryl, basically. You play as his character.
That's awesome.
It was gonna,
what was the gameplay like?
Story. Oh, it was very smooth, and, like, realistic in a sense, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
It
but
was
like, what's the so like? Are you shooting things, or are you
no.
sneaking, or are you figuring
You're literally
puzzles?
just like walking around, and like in the PT, you're in a house, and you walk around, like there's like certain shit that you see that happened in the house. You hear noises, obviously, and then like certain scenery starts changing. So like picture frames are turned upside down, like lights turn out. Certain things, like at one point, like by the front door of the house, like the lights will turn off and then they turn back on, and there's like a fridge hanging by like chains in like the middle of it, and then like the fridge door opens up and there's like a dead body in the inside and there's blood dripping down, and
Damn,
it
I
gets
bet that would be
it gets
scary
like
as shit in VR, dude.
dude, yo, I shit my pants. Like, ripped the VR set off. I had to go outside and chill for like a second because I literally was scared shitless. Like, it was creepy as hell, and that's why I was so ready for the game to come out. And then again, I don't know what happened. They just canceled production, and it was very saddening for me.
Damn.
Very saddening because I love games like this, man. Like, I've never movies are a different story. Like, I had one movie in my life that ever scared me. I've never been really scared by movies, but certain video games, they just know how to do, like, the whole jump scare factor. Certain developers and certain game editors, like, they just know what they're doing, and it's only been games really that have ever like made me
you
jump and gotten me scared. Yeah, like, and that's why I love playing them. And yeah. They cut the development.
Resident Evil HD Remastered is on this list as well. Everybody knows Resident Evil pretty well. Yeah. Resident Evil 7, that one definitely looked pretty scary too. I saw a little bit of gameplay with that one. I think Summit played it, and that was the gameplay I saw from that one, and that just made it even better because he was.
I haven't played the full game, but I want to get it.
It looks
beta.
It looks good. It looks scary as shit though.
It's same thing as Silent Hill.
Really?
Like what? Yeah, like the gameplay, like what it would be. It's the exact same as what Silent Hill was gonna be.
Okay. Soma. I don't know anything about Soma, but it kind of looks like a Resident Evil.
Yeah,
the Evil Within.
So
definitely
good.
popular right now. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Oh, I love it. I have it. It's basically an off version of Resident Evil. I don't know. It's a hard game to explain. You have to. There's certain puzzles, like you have to get through certain areas, fight certain zombies, stay alive, hide a lot. It's a lot of hiding, mostly hiding, and yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a really hard game to explain. Shit, but really good. Really good. I have it here somewhere.
It seems really popular. A lot of big streamers have started to kind of, get its name out there. And it's made by the same creator that made Resident Evil, right?
Yeah, that's why I say like it's basically like a Resident Evil because it's kind of the exact same thing, just completely different storyline, completely different monsters in it, obviously.
Yeah, this screenshot right here looks pretty similar.
Yeah, I haven't even finished it because like I got frustrated at one part because it's kind of hard. It's not an easy game. I'll say that.
Gotcha.
It's not easy.
All right, so these are the 10 scariest games on PS4 and Xbox. Go check them out, and if you have checked them out, let us know what you think down below. And if you've played any of the ones that we don't know about or we haven't played, let us know about those also in the comments section down below. We'll be checking those out. It's interesting to see how games like Alien Isolation stack up against these other games that we've talked about it. So, on to our final topic of the day and our only IRL topic. Scientists say your brain still works after death. And that's, it's kind of a common thing to think about that your brain works for a little bit after you die, but there's been a team of scientists in New York at New York University Langone School of Medicine that have done some research onto brains and patients that have died from cardiac arrest, and they've recalled entire conversations and actions and things that the doctors were doing at the time that they were pronounced dead on the table. So it's definitely one of those kind of things that makes you think a little bit like, when is someone actually dead? When does life actually go away? And, can you take this even farther and say that, maybe like this is where, afterlife kind of comes in. I don't want to get, super religious here, but like it's one of those things to think about, like maybe like after you die and your brain is still working, it kind of goes into like a dream state and maybe puts you somewhere where it feels kind of afterlife-ish. Like, how people say they die and there was a story about a lady who died, and she said that she saw a really bright light, and when the light went away, she was in a field full of roses, and roses were her favorite thing in the entire world, and she was just in a place surrounded by roses. Maybe it was her brain, maybe it was heaven, but it's just one of those things to think about, like how far your brain will actually push itself, after death. And I'm gonna get a little complicated here because this is one thing that I've thought about, and this kind of reminds me of it. So what, how time dilation works with black holes and that kind of thing? Like,
Yeah,
the closer you get to a black hole, the more time slows down.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's the same thing for your brain? Like, the closer you get to death, the more time slows down. Essentially, like once your brain has already stopped functioning. So if you take like the amount of consciousness that you have, and let's say you die, right? So you have full consciousness and then you die. What if your brain enters a time dilated state where your consciousness, regresses, like you cut it in half over and over and over and over until it gets closer to zero, but you never fully get there. So for you, it's like you never reach the point of death, but on the outside, people are looking in and you've been dead for, hundreds of years. You've been buried in the ground, but you and your mind are still not fully at that point of death. Do you know what I mean?
Kinda, yeah.
It's a paradoxical state.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's
It's
crazy to think about.
It's one of those things that I've really wondered about, because once you have consciousness, I can see like before you're born, you have no consciousness. So you have no idea of the things that are out in the universe. But consciousness is a thing, and matter can't be destroyed or matter can't be destroyed completely. So if the consciousness is a physical thing and not just something that comes with intelligence, I feel like this might actually be a plausible thing that could happen, especially with how the current laws of the universe work. I feel like it's not such a far out thought that maybe your consciousness enters this half state until it never fully reaches zero. I don't know, just something to think about. You have anything to add?
I feel like, I don't know. I've never really thought about it too much, like as to how basically what happens to us after we die. But knowing that our brain, like your brain, still works for what did it say, about 5 minutes after death?
Mm. Yeah,
it's kind of crazy to think too, because like imagine getting in like a car accident or something crazy where you technically die, but your brain is still alive and functioning for that 5 minutes, and all you're seeing is everything around, like all the destruction around you. Like how that would feel, like I don't know. It's a touchy subject to talk about for me, because I can't really describe how I feel about it, or in a generalization, like what to say about it, because there's too many different
too many angles and ways to go about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know what route I would go, basically.
Right. Well, let me go ahead and end this on a fun fact, since we've gone off on a tear of sorts as my lights flicker weirdly. Let me end this with a fun fact. Back in medieval times in France, when they used to use the guillotine, or the guillotine, I don't know why I said guillotine, it's a guillotine. Back when they used to use that, there was essentially one of the first experiments that showed that your brain still works after you die. And it was a prisoner that was being executed on the guillotine. And the guillotine has such a fine slice when it cuts somebody's head off that they thought, it was painless. And so one of the things they wanted to do to test it out was they asked one of the prisoners that was going to be executed to blink as many times as he could after his head was chopped off. So they cut his head off, and he blinked like 7 times after he was, decapitated.
Dead, yeah.
So this was like one of the first experiments that actually showed that people are, in fact, still alive for a little bit, after they're, dead.
Dead, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. That's
actually crazy. Like,
it's really interesting to think about, and it's crazy to see, just how far, you might be able to push it. There's also a new movie coming out. I know we're running a little bit over time here, but there's also a new movie coming out that I really want to see. Dizzy Wright's music is featured in it, so that's how I know about it. It's where college students essentially kill themselves for like 1 or 2 minutes, and it unlocks the further potential of their brain, kind of like Limitless. Have you ever seen Limitless?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
There's a movie that was pretty much exactly like that. It came out in like 2005 or 2006. I literally watched it like 2 weeks ago. It's funny that you mentioned this.
Yeah, it looks really good. I want to see it, but it's where they like
concept, yeah.
Yeah, where they die for a few minutes and then they resurrect themselves. But it ends up turning into it ends up turning into a horror movie, I think. Where
that's what the one that I'm talking about was too. It was the same thing. It's like a horror.
Yeah, kind of like a Final
thriller.
Fantasy kind of thing where they've escaped death and now death wants them back. That kind of thing. I don't know.
That's crazy to think about.
But we are out of time. Let us know what you think of any of these topics we discussed in the comments section down below. Once again, I have been Stu. This has been Serk. If you have not subscribed to Impact Gaming, hit that subscribe button. Thank you to the news team, essentially us, for all of the hard work we put in every single week to bring you the best news. And thank you to the rest of Impact Gaming. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.